The lighting is harsh with no makeup on. Whew. All right. Welcome back to my video. Well, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with my very first mammogram ever and the subsequent dealings afterwards. So, why don't you come along with me? Hey, so you're probably here maybe because you're going through the same thing. And welcome. There's a first time for everything, and I'm not really sure what I'm doing. So, at the beginning of the year, I had decided to make sure that I was taking care of myself and doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. So I am 23 years old. Sure. Whoa. I am 42 years old, and I am 2 years past the 40-year-old mark where you're supposed to start getting your mammograms. But I also hadn't been to the lady doctor in about 6 years. I didn't have one actually since we moved. I haven't went into the doctor for about 2 years to get like a physical done where they take your blood work and check all that stuff out, make sure that you're doing all right. So the first thing I did was make my appointment for my physical with a new doctor. And I had my blood work done. Everything looked pretty good. At the end of our appointment, he did his usual and recommended me to go in for my mammogram and encouraged me to go to the OBGYN to get my pap smear and yearly, and well, I guess what they used to call yearly, I guess you do it every 3 years now. And also a few things he noticed around on my body that he wasn't really sure what they are. I can show you this here. I have some here on my arms. It's things that I've had for quite a while. I got one on my leg. So he recommended that I go see a dermatologist to have those checked out. That appointment, the first appointment I could get in January, when I called, was for April. So I'll be doing that in April. And yeah, so I got all those referrals. I made all those appointments. Good to go. I was actually pretty excited for my first mammogram because I was just curious to know what it was like and what all of the hoopla was about. A little nervous, but kind of excited to go through the process. Plus I felt super good about taking care of myself. So I went in, I believe, yeah, it was Friday, January 27th, and the place was incredibly nice, and the technician was super nice and comforting, explained everything to me, and then I had to do the mammogram. They put your arm in specific places, and they get your booba-looba-looba up there, and you get kind of a smash this way on each side, and then you get kind of a smash this way on each side, which I had done a little bit of research, so everything went off without a hitch. It was pretty cool. And the technician had basically said, since it was my first one, that don't be surprised if I get called back in. So when they called me back in, I wasn't surprised because she said it a couple of times and kind of under the impression that there's nothing to compare it against. So if they see anything, then they have to kind of check certain areas to see if they've like got an image of doubled up tissue or if it really is something. And since they don't have anything to compare it against, you go back in and they hone in on those spots. So on Tuesday the 7th, this past Tuesday, I went back in for a cone mammogram, which was a lot more painful than just the regular one, which didn't bother me at all, but the cone one was quite uncomfortable because they really got to squish. She basically said it has to squish down until I can't take it anymore. And she runs away over to take the pictures and runs back to release the machine. So that one kind of hurt, I'm not gonna lie. But it didn't last very long. Again, the technician was incredibly kind. I even saw images of my previous mammogram up on the screen. She pointed out the areas they were looking into and said basically they do another one because the mammogram is just basically takes pictures on top of pictures and puts them together. So sometimes it can kind of double up the tissue and it looks like there's a spot when there really isn't. Then they sent me back to the little waiting room and said, we'll send the radiologist these pictures and then we'll send you in for an ultrasound. I knew I was going to get an ultrasound. They said it was going to be a diagnostic mammogram and ultrasound. So then the Olga took me in for my ultrasound, which is a much quieter experience, very dark, very quiet in there. Still, everybody was very kind. And she did the ultrasound and same thing. There was a lot of focus kind of here where they thought that the spot was, and then a little bit on my underarm for whatever reason. And then she said the same thing, I'm going to send these out to the radiologist and just hang tight because if he wants to see another side or an image or whatever, she'll call me back in. But they said, nope, just go ahead and come on back and talk to the radiologist. And he was remote, so he was at a different location. He apologized for not being able to be there in person and then went in to tell me that he suggested that I come in and get a biopsy on 2 spots just to rule anything scary out. He didn't say that he thought it was one thing or another. He just said that it was something that they wanted to take a better look at and I guess rule out anything scary. And so we made an appointment right there for the following Tuesday, which is this coming Tuesday. So as of recording this portion of the video, it hasn't happened yet. But I did take a little bit of video here and there throughout the week with my different emotions that I was going through. And I'll tell you, there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of almost kind of apathy towards it, like it's no big deal, it's just routine, to what if it's not, to, you know, what is it, to what if it's bad, and everything in between. Captain Overthinker. So if you're going through this too, you are not alone if you think you're absolutely bonkers by just how wild of a range your emotions you can go through. I've went from mad to sad to no biggie. I can get through whatever I can get through. And now, before we launch into some of my B-roll of emotion, right now I feel okay. I feel optimistic and I feel like whatever happens, I'll be able to handle it and we'll just work it out from there. I will launch into my B-roll of emotion, and then I think the next thing you'll see is I'll take you along as I go into the facility to have my biopsy. I won't be taking you into the room, but I'll see how close I can get and give you a debriefing afterwards to let you know how I feel like I did and how I feel like they did and how well things were explained to me and what it felt like. So since I'm not afraid of needles or anything like that, I am lucky enough to not be worried about that part. I really have no qualms. I feel like this is very routine and everybody knows what they're doing, or at least I trust that everyone knows what they're doing. My issues are with the results, and I probably won't know those for a few days afterwards. So launch that B-roll of emotion. don't know. What am I going to say? I think it's important to kind of take a snapshot of how I'm feeling right now in the in-between time. So this is the in-between time between getting the ultrasound and having them tell me that they were uncomfortable with what they saw, and getting the biopsy. Now, I can't lie and say I haven't Googled and watched videos of other people's biopsy stories and stuff like that. My hair was falling down, so I'm just gonna take it down. I think I said earlier that I've never had a biopsy before, but I have had I guess what you would consider a lumpectomy. And back in 2007, I believe, I was about 27 years old, and I had my regular womanly visit and talked about a lump that me and my husband had found in my right breast. And the doctor attempted, at that point in time, they just assumed with my age and everything it was probably a cyst, and he immediately pretty much went in with a needle and tried to extract fluid from it. And when he couldn't extract any fluid from it, the decision was made just to remove it and test it for any malignancy. It was removed. I have a little bit of a scar, and if I feel there, I can feel like where there's missing tissue, right? So that's a little bit of my before times, and just to kind of illustrate that, I mean, I've had something happen, but I've never had a biopsy before. So I did go into the YouTubes and try to watch a few people's stories about how it was going to be. The doctor did mildly explain it, or the radiologist that I spoke with on Tuesday, but I'm still a little bit confused. So now I feel like I kind of understand what's going to happen, and they're going to biopsy 2 separate spots. And how do I feel about that? First off, I'm not afraid of medical procedures like this. I don't get upset when I have my blood drawn. I don't mind needles. I don't mind getting vaccinations. I don't get upset at invasive procedures like pap smears, and I've had 4 kids, for crap's sake. There's been a lot of things that have went in and out of my body, and I just don't feel like I'm the type of person to get concerned or nervous. I wander through life with the assumption that who I'm going to meet up with next Tuesday for this biopsy knows what they're doing, and I can trust them. That's just the way I see it. I know some people don't, but that's the way I see it. And it works out well for me because everything so far has been good. The only other surgery I've ever kind of had is a LEAP procedure, and that's basically where they go in and they kind of lightsaber off a bit of your cervix, test it for any malignancy, and everything was all good there as well. I'm not scared about what's going to happen. I'm not worried about the procedure. I'm not worried about being in any pain. They do a local anesthesia around the spot. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the future. I'm just worried about the results. I had a mammogram for the first time in my life because I'm 42 years old. I've missed it by 2 years, and that keeps coming into my mind. Like, I should have went 2 years ago, and maybe I wouldn't be here. Maybe they'd already have previous images, and we wouldn't need to worry about what we had to compare it against because we've already have 2 years of data. I flip-flop between assuming it's going to be a fibroadenoma, which is just a non-malignant, it's a benign tumor, and it not being that, and wondering what that means for everyone in my life. A sidebar note, being equally comforted and frustrated when people say, I'm sure that it's nothing, or don't worry about anything until there's something to worry about. And I've even said it out loud because it seems like solid advice. I'm not going to worry about it. I feel like I say it to make other people feel better. Like, I'm not going to worry about it until there's something to worry about. It still very well could be nothing. So it's okay to be scared and worried. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be polite and accept the help the people around you who love you very much are attempting to give. It's okay to accept that. It's okay to eat dirt and scream at the sky. I'll be okay. But what if you're not okay? But I'm fine. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's what's going on right now. That's just everything that's going on in my head. In the in-between time between getting a recommendation for a biopsy and the actual day of the procedure, I'm gonna pop in right before the procedure and let you know how I'm feeling. And also let you know how the experience went afterwards. I do believe I'm gonna go on my own. I think craziness of it is they're like, everybody acts like it's no big deal. Like, you can drive yourself in, you can drive yourself out, you can go back to work. But a lot of the videos of people I watched, they didn't drive themselves in and out. They didn't go back to work, and they appreciated the respite afterwards, needing rest and relaxation. Now, I am not going to go back. I'm going to leave work early. I'm not going to go back into work, but I am going to drive myself to and fro. So I'll let you know how that goes. And wish me luck. It's just a rough night. It's only 10:30 on a Friday. My biopsy is on Tuesday, and it's just a rough night. I don't know how anyone can not overthink. And I just am glad I haven't told a lot of people, because it's so obnoxious to hear that everything's gonna be okay, because I know everything's gonna be okay. But I want to hear, I understand your fear, and I understand your worry. And that's all. It's just overthinking and fear. And I know that's what it is, because everything's gonna be okay. But if you're watching this because you have someone who has to wait a week for their information as well, just know that maybe you don't need a solution. Maybe you just need someone to eat dirt and scream at the sky with you. That's all. Good night. I'm tired of thinking bad thoughts. I'm just gonna think good thoughts. It's Monday morning. Biopsy is tomorrow. I feel really good today. Not physically speaking, because for whatever reason, for the past I don't know, 2 days I've been feeling a little sick to my stomach, and I talked to my husband about it last night, and he might be right. I think it's a little bit of stress. It's been a lot that's went on in the last couple of days, so I think I'm a little stressed out, and did my very best to relax and chill last night and not worry too much about what's gonna happen, because whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and I got this. So yeah, a little bit more than 24 hours beforehand, and I'm doing pretty okay. So welcome to my Dodge Caravan of emotions. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow on my way there. All right. Hey, it's the morning of. I have to go into work right now and work a half day. But I am feeling nervous for the first time. I don't know. My stomach is upset from nerves. You know, like before you go, like to public speak or to present or something. So I don't know why I'm nervous, but I am. So I got 4 hours here, and then I'm out and on my way. I'll catch you later. I got my friends on lock. They got my back, and have been texting me today, which is very sweet. My husband's gonna be there, so I am sure that I will be able to talk him into getting me some sushi or some ramen or something comforting when we're done. That's my plan. That's my devious plan. So I guess I'll see you on the inside. I'll see you on the other side. All right. I'm going in. I'll see you later. Okay, I'm done. We'll talk later. Hey, I'm going to bed early. It's a long day. I feel like I have a huge bruise where they were at, and moving around hurts a little bit. Like I don't want to accidentally get knocked into. But other than that, they did it, and now I just have to wait for the results. I'll talk more about the whole experience later, because right now I'm going to bed. Good night. Hey. It's Wednesday, February 15th, the day after, and I feel okay. I feel like I've been punched in the chest, and when I move my arm around, it's not so bad, and I think when I move my arm around, my dog's playing with his bone, it doesn't hurt too terribly bad. I can feel it. I think that I got lucky with where the incisions are, that it's not going to affect me too much when I move my arm around. But yesterday did stink. Like, I just didn't feel like doing anything. So I know that this whole, maybe if you get like a ton of biopsies done all the time, you can just go in and do it and go back to work. I just feel a little irritated that that's how they describe it. Like, drive yourself in, drive yourself out. I did, but I'll tell you, when I got back out, I did not feel like driving at all. I was just like, this is dumb. But the time that I had scheduled my appointment didn't give me enough time to drive all the way home and let someone else drive me, so I had to. No big deal, but I just didn't feel like it. So I just wanted to put it out there that if it's your first one, and probably definitely depending on where it is, but no matter where it is, I would just take the rest of the day off and chill. Because 2 factors. 1, you just don't feel like doing anything. It's kind of a weird, a little bit of a dramatic experience, which I'll explain a little bit later. Especially if you've never done it before. It's very stressful. Like, I wasn't scared, but I was super stressed about what was going to happen, and if everything was going to go right. And it's just uncomfortable afterwards. You get real swollen. I mean, if you have just one, maybe, but I don't know. I had 2 separate areas, and I feel like I might have said this before, but I feel like there was a lot of roto-rooting. So I don't know what's going on in there right now. This is trying to heal. But the coming down from the stress was probably something I wouldn't be able to solidly focus through if I had went back to work. But I guess I very well could have if I didn't have another option, if I didn't have any time, because I don't lift anything. So you're not supposed to lift anything heavier than a milk jug, he said. So I definitely could have, but I didn't feel like it. And I'm just putting it out there for you guys. You're just not going to feel like it. So I would plan to not. And actually, mine was on a Tuesday. If I were smart, I would have scheduled it for a Friday, because I honestly don't feel like doing anything right now either. I feel very protective of it, and not that I feel like anybody ever hits me in the chest on a regular basis, but I don't want to hurt myself in any way. So, but apparently today, if I went to the gym and wanted to go back, I could, and I don't have any restrictions today. So that's how I'm physically feeling. I give myself a pain of 2, just because it hurts when I move around. If I'm not moving, it doesn't hurt at all. And I wouldn't touch it. It would feel like a big bruise. So that's where we are. And I will see you again when I have the results. Talk a little bit about the procedure. I had went into the center, and like you do if you've ever had a mammogram, they give you one of those little tops that close up in the front, and I sat in the waiting room and waited for someone to call me back. I was the only one there, as far as I could tell. I'm the only other person. I didn't see any other people. And when the nurse called me back, she took me back to a room that looked very much like an ultrasound room, and started an ultrasound so she could mark off the places that the doctor would need to go in at, or where, I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm not the technician, but I'm guessing maybe she marked the places where either he needed to go in or where he needed to focus. I'm not sure. I started to get kind of nervous at that point because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And the doctor came in and he explained that he talks through everything before he does it, and was just setting up and explaining how it was going to go. He kept reassuring me that he felt that they were fibroadenomas, and but there were a few microlobulations that were making him uncomfortable, and just wanted to get in there and get all of the samples out so they could test it and ease my mind. But that was his MO. That's how he worked, I guess. I had never met him before, so this isn't like my regular technician or doctor or what have you. Like I said in the beginning, before all this started, I'd never even had a mammogram before, so everybody was new to me. However, he was very nice, and clearly he had been doing it for a very long time. So next thing was having the local anesthesia, which was just the same stuff he said that they give you at the dentist office. He did, however, have to go in twice because the first insertion of, I guess, the tube that they use to guide the needle that actually takes the biopsy was quite painful. So he stopped and gave me some more Novocaine. But then after that, I didn't feel anything but moving around and pressure. I no longer felt any more pain. So he went into the first spot, which I'm going to assume with a tube, like a straw, and then that straw was placed right outside the spot that you could see on the ultrasound, and I was able to watch the ultrasound the whole time, which is what I focused on because I didn't want to look down to see what was going on. I pretty much looked up at the ultrasound the whole time and watched him guide the needle into each one of the spots, and he took 4 samples from each spot, which really ended up being a lot more times than 4 times because there were a few times that he clicked the thing and it didn't get anything. So like other people have said in their biopsy videos, the click is quite loud, and I had a very difficult time not jumping when it happened because it's just, I guess, a natural thing. So there's a loud click, sounds like somebody slamming a stapler with their hand, and it does make you jump. And I jumped almost every time. But like I said, I couldn't feel anything except for pressure, and moving around. There was no pain after the second hit of Novocaine. So after the first area was investigated, there was a little bit of talk between the doctor and the nurse about how to reach the second spot. I think they were trying to decide whether they could get to it from where they were or if they had to re-situate the whole setup, and turned out that they did have to re-situate it. So he had to take it out from where it was and went back into a new spot. He did, however, put more Novocaine in me in the area where he was going, which I appreciate because I'm not sure if that would have hurt or not, but he went ahead and hit me again with the Novocaine. So I didn't feel anything. They re-put the straw in and did the same thing over again, getting 4 samples from that other area as well. When it was all done, the nurse put on the steri strips and then a band-aid on top of that, and then some Tachoderm on top of that, the plastic stuff to keep it dry and all that stuff. She gave me a sheet of paper that told me how to take care of it and that I should remove the bandages in 2 days. And then I was sent home. But first, me and my husband went and got tacos.
They're the food that doesn't give up on you.
Which was very lovely. My MO is to eat, to comfort myself, clearly. That's why I'm in the situation that I'm in, weight-wise. But it was nice. I had a margarita. I had some tacos from Condado Taco, and I had a nice little lunch. And then we went home, and I just got some rest. After I got home, I had kind of a rough night. Like I said, I know that they say you can go in and drive yourself back to work, and it's supposed to be an in and out treatment and what have you, but I sure as heck am glad that I took the rest of the day off because it just didn't feel up to doing much but watching some TV and going to bed early. So that's what I did. I went back to work the next day, however, And I was kind of saying to myself, I don't want to get a call today. I don't want to get a call today. They said it would take 3 to 4 days for my results, and I was worried that an early call would mean bad news. And of course, I was nervously answering my phone every time a spammer called. But sometime in the afternoon on Wednesday, I did get a call from the breast cancer center, or the Pink Ribbon Center, and she just was calling to give me the good news that everything was all clear and it was nothing scary, just a couple of benign fibroadenomas. And well, let's celebrate. Yay! But what a roller coaster of emotions. And you know, for some people, they get a call that's wildly different than that. I somehow talked myself into that being the situation for me. I just had this sense that that's just, everything was just kind of first time and a little scary, that I think I talked myself into a hole, and was very nervous. So I guess one of the lessons here is that is very stressful. And if you are going through it, give yourself grace and know that all of those emotions are totally normal, and you're not crazy, and you're not being a Debbie Downer. You're just simply being human. And if you know someone who's going through it, if they've been brave enough to open up and talk to you about it, or if they feel like you're their support person they wanted to tell, then just ride that wave with them. Just be the support. You don't have to be the answers. You don't have to be the person saying you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine. Because we will go back and forth through we're going to be fine to we're not going to be fine. Just be there in support of the tidal wave of emotion, and you'll get through it together, no matter what the end result is. I would think I'm very grateful for my results, and I put my heart out to any of you watching who have different results or scarier results or haven't gotten their results yet. I love you so much, and I'm just going to just give every single good vibe to you that I possibly can. So that was my experience. Like I said, if you're one of them going through it, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll be thinking about you. Just putting it out there in the world. Thank you so much for watching. Next video, we'll get back to my journey, my fitness journey. I took a little bit of a hiatus during this stressful few weeks, but I feel much better now that it's the Saturday after the Tuesday that I had the biopsy, and I feel like I can get back on it, and we will check back in a couple of weeks to see where I'm at. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you later. Bye.